An appellation is a legal obligation subject to national and international law protecting the production methodology and geographical origins of a category, like say cognac, champagne, sherry, bourbon or scotch. Tasmania does not have a Tasmanian single malt whisky appellation at this point in time, but we need an appellation to protect the Tasmanian single malt whisky category, to protect the place of origin and to define and protect what it means to say Tasmanian single malt. One of the world's best and most successful whisky appellations is Scotch whisky. So it's wise to understand this appellation and then offer insight into what we actually do at Callington Mill Distillery in order to construct what we believe best constitutes this category called Tasmanian single malt whisky. The Scottish single malt whisky is defined in simple terms as follows. A, it's produced in Scotland. It's made only from malted barley. It's processed at that one distillery into a mash. It's fermented at that single distillery only by the addition of yeast. It's distilled in batches at that single distillery only in copper pot stills. It's matured in Scotland only in oak casks not greater than 700 litres. It's also matured in Scotland for a minimum 3 years. No substance can be added except for water and caramel colouring, and the ABV is a minimum 40%. Although we don't have a single malt whisky appellation at this point in time in Tasmania, at Callington Mill Distillery we decided we wanted to control the entire single malt whisky making process, and it's summarised as follows. Our distillery is in Tasmania, therefore we produce the whisky in Tasmania. Our distillery only uses Tasmanian malted barley, whereas the Scottish whisky can use any barley from around the world. Our distillery mills the malted barley into what we call a grist. Our distillery processes the malted barley, the grist, into what's called a mash to produce what is known as a wort. Our distillery ferments the wort by the addition of only yeast to produce alcohol and flavour compounds, resulting in what is known as a wash. Our distillery double distills this wash in copper pot stills, producing low wines and new make spirit. We mature our whisky in oak casks for a minimum 3 years. Unlike the Scots, we do not add caramel colouring, we do not flock, and we do not chill filter. And our minimum ABV is 46%. This is a standard that we would like to see apply to all Tasmanian single malt whisky being made. Why is that? Because then the consumer will trust the authenticity, uniqueness and place of origin of the Tasmanian single malt brand, where single distilleries in Tasmania will engage in the entire whisky making process at their individual distilleries, promoting genuine individual craft, diversity and character to the Tasmanian brand. At Callington Mill, we believe that if you don't make single malt whisky from barley to bottle, then you're not making whisky. Someone else is making it for you.